Okay, I'm just going to tell you about laying out our fabric and looking at how to use our patterns and the instructions on our patterns. So we've drawn up the size of the pencil case that we're wanting to do, and then we folded the pattern in half to establish a selvage line. Now that selvage line is now going to be really important because that'll tell us how we need to lay our pattern on our fabric. So when we've got our fabric, this is our cut edge. So you've got a long roll of fabric. This is where it gets cut. And then this is the edge of the fabric. Now this is what's called our selvage or our grain line. And as you can see here, we've got selvage written on our pattern. So it's really important that we lay up this line parallel with this line. So to do that, you can see that there's a little bit of an edge here. We kind of avoid that when we're cutting. But we just need to make sure that the underneath, because we're cutting two, remember we're cutting 2 in denim and then 2 in lining. So we have to make sure that the underneath, there's enough there. And then we line up our pattern, and we always check, so we get a tape measure or a ruler and check. This is 14.5 and 14.5. Now that 14.5 will be very different for everyone depending on the size of your pencil case, but as long as when you measure the top is 14.5 and the bottom is 14.5. So it doesn't matter. Your measurement might be 20, it might be 25, but as long as it's the same from the top and the bottom to the edge of the fabric. So you would just pin this in place. Now remembering when we pin fabrics, we push the pin down and then we come back up through the fabric. Push it down and then come up. And I usually just put 4 pins, that's enough. And we cut around the outside of that, ensuring that we keep our blade of our scissors on the table. So we don't cut in the air like we do when we're cutting paper. We're always, to be able to get a stable and even cut, keep your blade down. And I'm just doing short, sharp, and just trying to make sure I don't cut any of the paper, but just along the edge of the paper. Okay, so that's our denim cut. So now we do the same process for our lining. Now it doesn't really matter, we've got our selvage line here. It doesn't really matter if we fold it this way or if we fold our fabric this way. This particular pattern, there's no directional pattern. If you're unsure, check with me, but a directional pattern would be something like a zebra or a dinosaur that would only have a dinosaur in one direction, or a tractor or whatever it is, and that it doesn't have mirrored ones. So just check with me if you're unsure if it's a directional print. So again, we're making sure that the underneath, there's fabric under there, there's no cuts. We're measuring our grain line. So this one needs to be turned a little bit. Perfect. So you would just pin this again. You can take those layers of denim out. You don't need to have them in there. I just find it quicker. And again, you would cut all the way around that pattern piece.